I lost 250,000 pounds in Thailand. My wife, the son I thought was mine, 7 years of my life. And the worst part? I handed it all over willingly, convinced I was building something real. 7 years. 7 years of my life that I'll never get back. 7 years of believing she loved me, that we were partners, that the family we were building meant something. Thailand taught me a lesson I'll never forget. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Some of the warmest smiles hide the coldest hearts. And when you're a Western man with money in your pocket, you're not a person, you're an opportunity. The money's gone. The relationship was a lie. But what haunts me most is how completely I ignored every single warning sign. Let me take you back to 2017. I was 57, British, and I'd just taken early retirement from my job as a facilities manager for a hospital trust in Manchester. 33 years of shift work, emergency calls, and budget meetings. I was done. I had approximately 220,000 pounds. This was my NHS pension lump sum combined with savings. I'd been careful my entire working life. This money was supposed to carry me through retirement, supplemented by my monthly pension of about £1,500. My marriage had ended 3 years earlier. Susan left me for a colleague. 20 years of marriage dissolved because I worked too many night shifts and she needed emotional connection. The divorce was amicable enough. No children together, so it was just splitting assets. But it left me in a 2-bedroom flat in Salford, eating microwave meals and wondering if this was all there was. A mate from work, Phil, had retired to Hua Hin 2 years prior. Every email was the same. Warm weather, cheap living, beautiful beaches, friendly people. You're paying 800 quid a month for that flat, Pierce. Out here you'd have a beachfront condo for half that. He kept sending photos of himself on the beach, cold beer in hand, grinning like he'd found paradise. I'd been researching retirement destinations for months. Spain was full of Brexit complications. Portugal was beautiful but still expensive. Thailand kept appearing at the top of every best retirement destination list. The cost of living was ridiculously low. My pension would go 3 times further. And after the gray Manchester winter of 2016 to 17, the idea of permanent sunshine felt like salvation. March 2017. I arrived in Hua Hin. The heat hit me like opening an oven door, that thick, wet heat that makes your shirt stick to your back instantly. But there was something intoxicating about it. The colors were brighter. The food smelled incredible. Everyone smiled. After decades of British reserve and drizzle, Thailand felt alive. I rented a 1-bedroom condo 3 blocks from the beach for 12,000 baht, about £280 a month. I was spending maybe £600 total living, comfortably. I'd go to the night market for dinner, spend an hour at the beach every morning, read books I'd never had time for. Phil introduced me to other expats, retired teachers, former military, IT consultants. We'd meet at the same bar every Friday, drink cheap Leo beer, and congratulate ourselves on escaping the West. If I'd kept things simple, none of this would have happened. But I wasn't thinking about simple. I was thinking about not being alone. And that's when I met her. I'd been in Thailand for 4 months when I met her. Phil and the lads had convinced me to come to Pattaya for a weekend. Hua Hin's lovely, Pierce, but it's for old pensioners. Come to Pattaya, that's where the action is. I resisted for weeks. I'd heard the stories about Pattaya, but they wore me down, and honestly, I was curious. Walking street on a Saturday night is sensory overload. Neon lights flashing, music pouring from every bar, the smell of grilled meat and beer, girls in short dresses, calling out "Hello, handsome," and "Welcome, sir," to every foreign man who passes. It's designed to make you feel wanted, and it works. We ended up in a bar called Angelwit, one of the nicer ones, Phil said. Not too seedy. That's where I saw Suthita. She was 24, though she looked younger. Long black hair, delicate features, and this shy smile that seemed different from the aggressive flirtation of the other girls. She was sitting with 2 other girls, but she wasn't shouting at customers. She looked almost uncomfortable. I ordered a beer. She brought it over. "You from England?" she asked. Her English was basic but understandable. I said yes. She said she loved England, wanted to visit London someday. We talked just small talk at first. Where was I from? How long in Thailand? Did I like Thai food? Then the personal details emerged. She was from a village near Phuket. She'd come to Pattaya 8 months ago to send money home. Her mother had diabetes, needed medicine. The younger sister was in university or trying to be, but fees were a problem. Her father had passed away when she was 15. Suthita wasn't like the other girls. She didn't touch my arm or sit too close. She didn't ask me to buy her drinks every 5 minutes. She seemed genuinely interested in conversation. When her shift ended at midnight, she simply said goodbye and left no pressure for a bar fine, no suggestion of anything more. I came back the next night, and the night after that. By the third visit, I'd spent about £200 just on drinks and conversation. Phil raised an eyebrow. You're falling for it, mate. The shy one routine. It's a strategy. But I didn't believe him. Suthita felt genuine. Within 2 weeks, I was visiting Pattaya every weekend. I'd pay her bar fine 3,000 baht, about 70 quid, so she didn't have to work when I was there. We'd go to dinner, walk along the beach, talk about everything. She told me about growing up poor, about her dreams of opening a small restaurant someday, about how much she hated working in the bar. I know what you're thinking. 57-year-old divorced British bloke falling for a 24-year-old Thai bar girl. I'm not stupid, I knew the dynamic. But with Suthita, it felt different. She seemed vulnerable, not calculating. She laughed at my jokes. She held my hand. One night, a month after we met, she cried. Her mother needed an operation, 20,000 baht, about 450 pounds. The family couldn't afford it. I didn't hesitate. I sent the money through Western Union the next morning. She called me crying but happy this time. You saved my mother life, Pierce. I never forget this. Never. Red flag number 1. Right there. But I told myself I was helping someone I cared about. That's what good people do. Over the next 3 months, we became inseparable. I paid her to quit the bar 8,000 baht a month, about 180 pounds. Small price for peace of mind. I knew I wanted to marry her. I thought I'd found my second chance at happiness. I was wrong. Over the next 6 months, life felt like a dream I didn't want to wake from. I moved from Hua Hin to a rented house in Pattaya, closer to Suthita, closer to what felt like a real relationship. The house was 15,000 baht a month, about 350 pounds. We spent every day together. My NHS pension gave me 1,500 pounds monthly. Rent was 350, expenses another 400. I was giving Suthita 250 pounds a month for living costs and sending another 200 to her family. I was breaking even, dipping slightly into my savings each month, maybe 100 pounds. Sustainable, I thought. Manageable. Then Suthita's sister needed school fees, 5,000 baht, 115 quid. Her mother needed new medication, 10,000 baht, 230 pounds. The family's motorbike broke down, 15,000 baht, 340 pounds. Each request came with tears, with apologies, with promises that this was the last time. And I didn't want to say no. I was terrified she'd leave. Terrified she'd go back to the bar. Terrified I'd lose the only person who made me feel wanted in decades. Looking back, this was when the trap closed. I'd already committed emotionally. The financial bleeding had started. But I couldn't see it as bleeding, I saw it as investment. 6 months in, Suthita brought up marriage. Her family was asking questions. In Thai culture, she said, living together without marriage brought shame. Her mother was worried. Her sister kept asking when we'd make it official. I proposed on Jomtien Beach at sunset. Cost me 18,000 baht for the ring, about 400 pounds, she cried. She said yes. I felt like the luckiest man alive. Then came the sinsot discussion. I'd read about this, the traditional bride price, that the groom pays to the bride's family. Suthita's mother wanted 300,000 baht. That's nearly 7,000 pounds. I was shocked. That's a lot of money, love, she explained. It wasn't payment, it was respect. It showed I could provide. Her family would lose face if the amount was small. And, she added carefully, most of it would be returned after the ceremony. It was just for show. I researched online. Farang forums were full of warnings. Never pay sinsot. It's a scam. You'll never see that money again. But there were other voices too. It's their culture. If you love her, respect her traditions. I paid and got most of it back. I negotiated down to 250,000 baht, about 5,700 pounds. I told myself it was refundable. I told myself it showed commitment. I told myself she was worth it. November 2017. We married in her village near Phuket. The ceremony was beautiful, traditional Thai wedding, monks chanting, the whole village attending. The ceremony itself cost another 60,000 baht, about 1,400 pounds for food, venue, and monks. At this point, I'd spent roughly 18,000 pounds. Breakdown. Initial help and emergencies. 4,000 pounds, monthly allowances. 6 months times 450 pounds. 2,700 pounds. Sinsot. 5,700 pounds. Wedding. 1,400 pounds. Ring and extras. 800 pounds. Total 14,600 pounds. I still had 205,000 pounds in my savings. My pension was coming in regularly. I felt secure. When we got back to Pattaya, things seemed perfect. Suthida moved into my rented house. She cooked Thai food. She smiled when I came home. I thought marriage would solidify what we had. I was wrong. Marriage was just the beginning. The first year of marriage was a slow financial hemorrhage disguised as domestic happiness. We were living in the rented house in Pattaya. Rent was 350 pounds monthly. Suthida had quit working entirely. She was my wife now, she said, not a working girl. Thai culture. I understood. My monthly expenses looked like this. Rent, 350 pounds. Food and household, 400 pounds. Suthida's allowance, 300 pounds. Family support, 250 pounds. Utilities and misc, 200 pounds. Total, 1,500 pounds. My income was exactly 1,500 pounds. I was perfectly balanced, or so I thought. But balanced meant I wasn't saving, and it meant any emergency dipped into my capital. Suthida was affectionate enough, but there was a transactional quality I couldn't quite name. She'd be sweet when I gave her money, distant when I hesitated. Sex became less frequent. Her phone became more important. One day she saw a gold necklace in a shopping mall, 25,000 baht. "It's beautiful," she said, staring at it, not asking directly, never asking directly, just making it known, just letting me feel like a cheapskate if I didn't buy it. That phrase destroyed me. It's only 500 pounds, because it happened dozens of times. It's only 600 pounds for a new phone. It's only 400 pounds for a new motorbike. It's only 300 pounds for new furniture. Her sister needed dental work. 2,000 baht, 45 pounds. Her mother's medication increased. 5,000 baht monthly, 115 pounds. Her brother needed money for a business opportunity. 30,000 baht, 690 pounds. Every request came with the same framing: family emergency, cultural obligation, temporary need. And I sent it. Because refusing felt like proving I didn't love her. Because she'd get quiet and distant until I relented. Because I'd already spent so much that walking away felt like admitting I'd made a mistake. One afternoon, Suthida came home upset. Her friend's husband had bought her a new car. "Why she have everything and I have nothing?" she said. It made me feel like a failure. She started making comments about other Farang husbands, about what they provided, about how her friend's husband owned a condo in Pattaya, about how another guy had built his wife's family a house in Izan. I was being measured, and I was coming up short. She'd leave the house for hours visiting friends, she said. She'd come back smelling like cigarettes and cheap perfume. When I asked where she'd been, she'd get defensive. "You don't trust me? You think I'm bad, girl? I let it go. I didn't want to be the jealous, controlling, foreign husband. I didn't want to admit I was worried. By November 2018, 1 year into marriage, I'd spent another £15,000. Allowances, emergencies, gifts, family support, the slow accumulation of small amounts that weren't small. I was down to £190,000. Still secure, I told myself, but the slope was getting steeper. Then Suthida started talking about property, about how renting was wasting money, about how we needed our own place, about how her friend had a beautiful house her husband built. This was when things went from bad to catastrophic. January 2019, Suthida said, "Pierce, we need talk about future." We were sitting at the kitchen table. She had that serious expression she used when discussing money, the one that made me feel like disagreeing meant I didn't care about our future. We pay £350 every month for rent. 12 months is £4,000. Gone. Nothing to show. If we buy house, we have something. Investment. For our future. For our family. Our family. She'd been talking about children lately. The unspoken promise. Give me security, give me a house, and then we'll have the family you want. I was hesitant. A house costs, what, 3 million baht? 4 million? That's 70, 80,000 pounds. Not that much, she said quickly. We can find cheaper, maybe 2 million. And think no more rent. Money saved every month. I had concerns. Big concerns. First, foreigners can't own land in Thailand. The house would be in her name. Legally, I'd own nothing. Second, that's a massive chunk of my savings. What if something went wrong? Third, we'd only been married a year. Was this too fast? She had answers to everything. To ownership. I'm your wife, Pierce. What's mine is yours. You don't trust me? After everything? To money. You have 200,000 pounds. You use 40,000. Still have 160,000. You're rich. This is small money for you. To timing. In Thailand, husband take care of wife. Build future together. You want me to feel secure or not? And then the pressure multiplied. Her mother got involved. Phone calls about how a good husband provides a home. About how it was shameful for a married daughter to live in rented accommodation. About face and respect. Her friends made comments. Pointed comments about their houses, their security, their husband's commitment. I started to rationalize. I'd spent 33 years working. I had the money. What was the point of having savings if I never used them? If I died tomorrow, who'd inherit it anyway? At least this way, I'd have something tangible. A home. A life I built. And maybe if I proved my commitment this clearly, Suthida would relax. Would stop comparing me to other men. Would be happy. The legal reality gnawed at me. Foreigners can't own land, full stop. You can own the building structure, but not the land underneath. In practice, everything goes in the Thai wife's name. I'd read horror stories online. Men who built houses and got kicked out. Men who invested everything and lost it in divorce. But I wasn't those men, I told myself. Suthida loved me. We were married. This was different. Looking back, I was terrified of losing her, and that fear made me stupid. Over February and March 2019, we looked at properties. Suthida wanted to build in her home village near Phuket, cheaper land, close to family. I wanted to buy existing property in Pattaya easier, faster, closer to expat community. We compromised on her village. Because she cried when I suggested staying in Pattaya. Because her mother said it would help the family. Because I was too weak to say no. We found land. A quarter rai, about 400 square meters for 350,000 baht, about 8,000 pounds. Then construction. Suthida wanted 2 bedrooms, Western kitchen, proper bathroom. The quote came back. 1.4 million baht, about 32,000 pounds. Total, 40,000 pounds. Everything in her name. I signed papers I couldn't read, made payments to contractors I never met, trusted my wife completely. Construction took 4 months. I visited twice, both times. She seemed stressed, said everything was behind schedule, needed extra money for materials. I sent another £5,000 total in unexpected costs. June 2019, the house was finished. We drove down from Pattaya for the housewarming. It was beautiful. 2-story, tiled floors, Western toilet, air conditioning in both bedrooms. Her family was there, mother, sister, brother, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone congratulating me, thanking me, calling me a good husband. Suthita was glowing. She held my hand. She kissed me in front of everyone. I felt like I'd finally done something right. Red flag number 4 was waving right in front of me, but I didn't see it. The land deed, I never actually saw it. Suthita handled all paperwork. She said it was easier since everything was in Thai. She said I didn't need to worry. She said she'd keep it safe. I never saw the deed, never verified ownership, never confirmed the house was actually registered. By July 2019, I'd spent £45,000 on the house. I was down to £145,000, 66% of my starting capital, gone in 2 years. My monthly income hadn't changed, still £1,500. But now I was splitting time between Pattaya and the village, fuel costs, food costs in 2 locations. My expenses had crept up to £1,700 monthly. I was losing £200 per month from savings. Initially, I felt satisfaction. I'd built something permanent. Suthita seemed happier. Her family treated me with respect. I thought I'd turned a corner. I was wrong. The house became a black hole. 6 months later, things had deteriorated in ways I hadn't anticipated. The house in the village had become the family house. Not our house, the family house. Suthita's mother lived there full time. Her sister stayed there during university breaks. Her brother used it as a base for his motorbike taxi business. Cousins dropped by constantly. The utility bills came to me. Electricity ran £200 monthly, air conditioning running constantly for people who weren't me. Water, internet, repairs. The water pump broke 20,000 baht. The roof leaked 35,000 baht. Termites in the woodwork 18,000 baht. Every month, Suthita presented new expenses, always framed as our house, our investment. But I was paying everything, and I barely lived there. I tried to set boundaries. Maybe your family could contribute to utilities? She got angry. They're poor, Pierce. You're rich. You want to charge my mother rent? Make her feel like guest in her daughter's house? Not her daughter's house. My house. That I paid for. But I couldn't say that without sounding like a cruel foreigner. Between repair costs, utilities, and ongoing emergencies, the house cost me an extra £600 monthly on top of everything else. Then the business proposal came. February 2020, Suthita said her sister wanted to open a small restaurant in Phuket town. Just a simple place, Thai food, local customers, family run. It would cost 200,000 baht to set up, about £4,600. I was immediately skeptical. I've already spent 45,000 on the house. I can't keep draining savings. This is investment, Suthita insisted. Restaurant makes money. My sister runs it. We get profit every month. Money back plus more. Her sister came to Pattaya specifically to pitch me. She had a business plan handwritten, mostly in Thai, with some rough English translations. Projected profits of 30,000 baht monthly. She'd pay me back the initial investment within a year, she promised. Plus 10,000 baht monthly profit share. I didn't believe it. But I also knew refusing would create a family crisis. Suthita would be furious. Her mother would be disappointed. I'd be the selfish Farang who hoarded money while family struggled. I agreed to £2,000, half what they asked. I framed it as a loan, not investment. I wanted it documented. The sister cried with happiness. Suthita kissed me. You're good man, Pierce. Good husband. My family loves you. The restaurant opened April 2020. I visited one small shop house near Phuket bus terminal. Plastic chairs, basic kitchen. It looked legitimate. Customers came in. I thought maybe this would actually work. I never saw a single baht of profit or repayment. Every month, there was a reason. Slow business. Equipment broke. Rent increased. Competitor opened nearby. Needed more capital for expansion. Over the next year, I sent another £3,000 in support for the restaurant. Total sunk into this business, £5,000. By April 2020, the relationship had changed fundamentally. Sathita and I barely had sex anymore, maybe once a month. Mechanical, obligatory. She was always tired, always on her phone, always with friends. She started going to Phuket more frequently, staying at the house, helping her sister with the restaurant, she said. She'd be gone 4 or 5 days at a time. I'd call and she'd be busy. I'd ask when she was coming back and she'd be vague. Her phone became a fortress, password protected, screen down when not using it. If I walked into the room, she'd quickly close whatever she was looking at. When I mentioned it, she exploded. You don't trust me. You think I'm bad. You, always suspicious. I can't have privacy. I backed down. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband. I didn't want to admit I was worried. Our conversations became transactional. She'd be cold until I sent money for something, then briefly warm. The pattern was obvious, but I couldn't acknowledge it without admitting the entire relationship was a transaction. My friends in Pattaya started making comments. Phil pulled me aside one night at the bar. Mate, I'm just going to say this because I care. Suthita's in Phuket a lot, and word travels. You might want to, check on things. What are you saying, Phil? I'm saying Thai wives going home for weeks at a time without their husbands. It's not usually innocent. Just be careful. I was furious. How dare he suggest Suthita was cheating? She was my wife. We built a life together. Just because she spent time with her family didn't mean anything sinister. But the seed was planted. By December 2020, I'd spent another £12,000. Ongoing house costs, restaurant support, family emergencies, Suthita's allowance, medical bills for her mother, university fees for her sister. I sat down and calculated everything. Original savings, £220,000. Year 12017 to 2018, £14,600 spent. Year 2018 to 2019, £15,000 spent. Year 3, 2019, £45,000 spent. House, year 4, 2020, £18,000 spent. Total, £92,600 spent. I had £127,400 remaining, 58% of my starting capital. I'd lost £92,000 in 3.5 years, and I was 61 years old. Retirement savings were supposed to last decades. At this rate, I'd be broke by 65. I felt trapped. I'd invested so much financially, emotionally, that walking away meant admitting total failure. The sunk cost fallacy had me in a death grip. I kept telling myself things would stabilize. The restaurant would eventually make money. The house was an asset. Suthita would settle down once she felt secure enough. I was lying to myself. Then COVID-19 hit. And what I discovered during lockdown would shatter everything. March 2020, Thailand went into COVID lockdown. Borders closed, bars shut. Pattaya turned into a ghost town overnight. Suthita had been in Phuket when lockdown hit. She called saying she couldn't come back. Travel between provinces was restricted. She'd stay at the house with her family until things opened up. I was alone in our rented house in Pattaya for 4 months. May 2020, bored and isolated, I started going through our shared laptop, the one we both used for email and Facebook. I wasn't snooping, exactly. Or maybe I was. Maybe Phil's warning had been festering in my mind. I found her Facebook account still logged in. I'd never looked at it before. I respected her privacy. But now, alone and suspicious, I clicked. My stomach dropped. Her relationship status said In a relationship, but not with me, with someone named Somchai. I scrolled through her photos, public photos. There were dozens I'd never seen. Suthida with a Thai man. At restaurants, at the beach, in nightclubs. Photos dated from 2019 during our marriage. Some were from 2018. One showed them together at Songkran Festival with the caption, "Love you forever," with heart emojis. In one photo, she was wearing the gold necklace I bought her. With him, my hands were shaking. My vision narrowed. I felt physically sick. I went deeper. Messenger. The messages were mostly in Thai, but I used Google Translate. Fragments came through. "When will you come home? Miss you so much, baby. That Farang still sending money? Just a few more years, then we're free." There were voice calls, video calls, constant communication, during times when she'd told me she was too busy to talk. The pattern became horrifyingly clear. Suddenly, everything made sense. The times she insisted on going to Phuket alone, she wasn't helping her sister. She was with him, the phone secrecy. Obviously, the declining intimacy. She was getting it elsewhere. The constant money requests. She was funding a life with him using my money. The rush to build the house in her village. A house for them, paid for by me. I went back through my memory, reframing every incident. That time in 2018 when we were at a restaurant in Phuket and a Thai man approached our table. He'd looked at Suthida strangely, said something in Thai, walked away quickly. She said it was just someone who thought he knew her. Lie. It was probably Somchai or someone who knew about him. The trip to Bangkok where she insisted on going alone for shopping with friends. 3 days. She came back, different, happier, guilty. Now I knew why. The friend who bought her the phone as a gift. I'd thought it was generous. Now I realized separate phone for separate life. I called Phil immediately. "Phil, I need you to be honest. What do you know about Suthida?" Long pause. "Pierce, mate. Just tell me. She's been with that bloke Somchai the whole time. They've been together for years, since before you met her. Everyone in Phuket knows. I thought you knew, and just, I don't know. I didn't want to be the one to tell you. Everyone knows?" "The Thai community, yeah. Sorry, mate. I really am. I spent the next week investigating. I created a fake Facebook profile. I found Somchai's page. He was 32, ran a small motorcycle repair shop in Phuket. His relationship status said, in a relationship with Suthida. His photos showed him at the house. My house, the one I built. He was living there, with her family, treating it like his own. Photos showed him on the new motorbike I'd bought for Suthida. Him wearing a gold chain I'd probably paid for. Him at family gatherings where I was never invited. I calculated what I'd sent to help the family. 60,000 pounds over 3 years. How much of that went to him? To them? To funding their actual life together while I was the foreign ATM in Pattaya? The restaurant wasn't a failing business. It was a money funnel. I was funding their actual life together through a fake business. The sisters' university fees, probably real. But how much of the other emergencies were real? How much was invention? I felt like the stupidest man alive. I'd spent nearly 100,000 pounds on a relationship that was never real. I'd built a house for another man. I'd funded their life together. And I'd done it willingly, enthusiastically, thinking I was building a future with someone who loved me. The emotional impact was devastating. Rage, shame, self-hatred, humiliation. I was furious at her, obviously, but I was more furious at myself for being so blind, for ignoring every red flag, for being so desperate not to be alone that I'd let myself be used. I thought of myself as intelligent, cautious, a man who'd worked in hospital administration dealing with budgets, policies, regulations. But I'd been played like an absolute fool by a 24-year-old bar girl and her Thai boyfriend. Everyone must have known. Every expat in Pattaya probably knew. Phil knew. Other Thais knew. I'd been walking around for 3 years as the local joke. The stupid Farang. The ATM. The cuckold. June 2020. Borders between provinces reopened. Suthita called saying she'd come back to Pattaya the following week. I didn't tell her I knew. I wanted to see her face. I wanted to confront her in person. I had to decide my next move. Kick her out immediately? Play along and gather more evidence? Confront her and demand truth? I chose confrontation because I needed to hear her say it. I needed to see if she'd even admit it. I needed to understand if any of it had been real. I was about to discover that the truth was even worse than I'd imagined. The 14th of June 2020, Suthita arrived back at the house in Pattaya. She was carrying shopping bags, smiling, chatting about her time in Phuket, completely normal. I was sitting at the kitchen table, laptop open, her Facebook account visible on screen. She walked in, saw the laptop, stopped dead. I said, "We need to talk." She went pale, physically stumbled backward. "Pierce, I can explain. Sit down." She sat, started crying immediately. The waterworks turned on like a tap. "Please, Pierce, I love you. Stop. Don't lie to me anymore. I've seen everything. Who is Somchai?" She tried denial first. "He's just friend. Old friend from before. It's nothing." I turned the laptop around, showed her the photos, the messages, the relationship status. "Friend? Your Facebook says you're in a relationship with him. These photos are from last month. You're wearing the jewelry I bought you." She changed tactics. Partial confession. "Okay, yes, we were together before, long time ago, when I was young, but we broke up. When I met you, we were finished. The messages are from last week, Suthita." More tears. Okay. We still talk sometimes, but it's not serious. I love you. You're my husband. He's just from my past. I can't just cut him off. He helped my family before. I've helped your family with my money, nearly £100,000. How much of that went to him?" She said nothing. "Answer me." She broke, completely. The crying became real, not manipulative, but genuine fear. She realized the game was over. "We never stopped together," she whispered. "Since before I met you. He's my boyfriend, real boyfriend." The word hit me like a hammer. Real boyfriend. Meaning I was the fake boyfriend, the foreign sponsor, the walking wallet. How long? Since I was 20. Before I worked in bar. We together 4 years when I met you. So when we met, I was with him. Yes. When we married? Yes. The whole time? Yes. Every muscle in my body was tense. I wanted to flip the table, scream, break something. But I forced myself to stay cold. The house I built, he lives there? She nodded. The money I sent for your family, how much went to him? Some, not all. My family really needed help. But some went to us. To our life. The restaurant? Real restaurant. But, yes, we used some money for other things. What things? His motorbike. Our living. Some we saved. The audacity. The absolute audacity. Did you ever love me? Even a little? She hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything. You're good, man, Pierce. You helped me. Helped my family. I'm grateful. But love? No, not love. You're too old. You're Farang. It's different. There it was. The truth. Cold. Simple. Brutal. So what was I? Your sponsor. Like boyfriend, but not real. Many bar girls do this. Have Thai boyfriend for heart, Farang boyfriend for money. It's normal. Normal. She said it like it was normal. So I was the ATM. You wanted me. I needed money. Is business. You knew I worked in bar. You knew what it means. I thought you quit. I did quit bar. But not quit life. Not quit my real boyfriend. You never asked if I had Thai boyfriend. You never asked. So I never lied. The logic was insane. But in her mind, It made sense. I hadn't explicitly asked if she had another boyfriend, so withholding that information wasn't lying. I asked the question I was terrified to ask. Is there anything else I don't know? She looked away. What? I'm pregnant. My heart stopped. What? 2 months. I found out last week. Is it mine? Silence. Sathida, is it mine? No. The world tilted. It's his? Yes. I laughed. I actually laughed. The absurdity. The complete absurdity. I'd spent £100,000 being cuckolded, and now she was pregnant with his child. Why did you come back to Pattaya? Why not just stay in Phuket with him? Because I need money for baby. He doesn't have money. You have money. I was going to tell you baby is yours. Then you help with baby costs. The actual plan was to pass off another man's child as mine and extract more money. What did you think would happen when the baby was born? I'd know. Maybe, maybe not. Some babies look like Farang even if father is Thai. And you love me. You would believe. I stood up. I had to walk away, or I'd do something I'd regret. Get out. Pierce, please. Get out. She started begging, saying she was sorry, saying she needed support, saying she had nowhere to go, saying I couldn't abandon her while pregnant. I didn't care anymore. The house in Phuket, it's yours. Congratulations. You and Somchai can live there happily. The restaurant, keep it. I won't ask for anything back. What about me? What about baby? Not my problem. You made your choices. You loved me. You said you'd take care of me. That was when I thought you loved me. That was when I thought this was real. It wasn't. So we're done. She tried a final manipulation, threatened to go to immigration, claim I'd abused her, ruin my visa status. I called her bluff. Try it. I've got copies of every bank transfer, screenshots of every message, photos of Somchai living in the house I paid for. You want to play this game? I'll destroy you. She left that night, went back to Phuket. I sat alone in the house, staring at the walls. Everything I'd built was gone. Not just the money, the identity, the belief that I'd found something real, the idea that I was building a future. I'd lost £100,000. But worse, I'd lost 3 years believing I mattered to someone, that I was loved, that I'd finally found happiness after my divorce. All lies, every word, every smile, every I love you, calculated, strategic, part of a long con that I'd walked into willingly. The legal reality set in fast. Everything was in her name, the house hers, the restaurant untouchable, the money I'd sent directly to family gone. There was no legal recourse. I'd voluntarily given her everything. I had £127,400 left. My pension was still coming in, but I was 61, emotionally shattered, and living in a foreign country where I'd been publicly humiliated. I decided to leave Thailand. Immediately. Completely. Forever. But I wasn't just leaving. I needed one final piece of the puzzle. Over the next 2 weeks, I conducted a full investigation. I needed to know the complete scope of the damage. I hired a translator to review the house paperwork. The land deed showed Suthida as sole owner expected, but the construction contracts revealed something worse. The actual construction cost was about 800,000 baht, not 1.4 million. She'd pocketed 600,000 baht, about 14,000 pounds during the build. The unexpected costs I'd sent were pure invention. I contacted the restaurant landlord. The place had closed 3 months ago. Shut down. The sister had moved back to the village. The restaurant had failed almost immediately, but Suthida kept asking for money months after it closed. I went through our bank records with new eyes. The patterns were damning. Large transfers from my account always corresponded with Suthida's trips to Phuket. The money didn't go to family emergencies, it funded her life with Somchai. I tracked down one of her friends from the bar, another girl who'd married a Farang. Over drinks, she confirmed everything. Everyone knew about Somchai, she said. Suthida always said she was lucky. Thai boyfriend for love, British boyfriend for money, best situation. Did other girls do this? Of course, very normal. We all have Thai boyfriends. Farang pay for house, send money, think they have wife. But Thai boyfriend is real relationship. Farang is just work. Like job, but easier than bar. The system. I'd stumbled into an entire system. A cultural arrangement where bar girls maintain Thai boyfriends while extracting money from foreign husbands. And it was so normalized that they discussed it openly among themselves. I'd been a walking ATM. Not even a person. Just a source of income. Renewable. Exploitable. Stupid. I calculated everything one final time. This was the full damage. Financial. Breakdown by category. Original savings, £220,000. Year 12017 to 2018. £14,600 spent. Year 2018 to 2019. £15,000 spent. Year 3 2019. £45,000 spent. House. Year 4 2020. £18,000 spent. Total £92,600 spent. Total lost £93,000. I had £127,000 remaining. 58% of my original savings. Gone in 3 years. But the numbers didn't capture the full cost. I was 61 years old. Retirement savings that should have lasted 30 years were being burned at £30,000 annually. At this rate, I'd be broke by 65. I couldn't stay in Thailand. Every street corner reminded me of my stupidity. Every expat gathering would involve people who knew I'd been played. Every interaction with Thais made me wonder if they were laughing at the stupid Farang. I consulted a lawyer about recovering the money. He laughed. You gave it voluntarily. She's your legal wife. The property is in her name, correctly registered. The restaurant was a failed business, it happens. You have no case. What about fraud? Prove it. Prove she never intended to be a real wife. Good luck. Every Thai court will side with her. You're a rich foreigner. She's a poor local girl. The outcome is predetermined. I tried negotiating directly with Suthita one final time. I called her. Offered £20,000 if she'd sign divorce papers and disappear from my life. She countered with £50,000. You're rich, she said. You have plenty money still. £50,000 and I disappear. I won't ask for monthly support after divorce. Otherwise, I make trouble. Go to embassy. Say you forced me. Say you abused me. Your choice. I was trapped. I paid £35,000 negotiated down, but still extortion. She signed the divorce papers at the Amphor in Phuket. I didn't attend. The lawyer handled it. July 2020. Officially divorced. Cost me £35,000 more on top of everything else. Final total lost, £128,000. I had £92,000 left. 42% of my starting capital in 3 years. This was when I understood Thailand fully. I thought it was paradise, warm, welcoming, affordable. I'd thought Thais were kind, gentle, non-confrontational, and they are until money is involved. Then the smile remains, but the knife is out. I'd thought I was special, that Suthita loved me despite the age gap, despite the transactional beginning. I'd thought I was building something real. But in Thailand's expat economy, I was never special. I was a demographic, a mark. One of thousands of lonely Western men who come looking for companionship and leave significantly poorer. The system is designed for this. Bar girls work temporarily to find foreign sponsors. They maintain Thai boyfriends throughout. Families encourage it because the foreign money supports everyone. Society accepts it because rich foreigners can afford it. And Farang keep coming. Because the fantasy is compelling. Because after decades of Western dating where you're too old, too boring, too ordinary, Thailand offers beautiful young women who seem interested. The illusion is powerful enough that men ignore the obvious. I ignored it. For 3 years. Despite warnings, despite red flags, despite my own intelligence, I couldn't stay in Thailand. The psychological damage was too severe. Every interaction felt like potential exploitation. Every smile felt fake. I'd lost all ability to trust. I decided to leave immediately, completely, cut all ties. But first, I needed to decide where to go and what came next. August 2020, I left Thailand for good, packed 2 suitcases, sold everything else. The furniture in my Pattaya rental went for 20,000 baht, about 460 pounds. I didn't try to recover anything from Phuket. That life was dead. The day I left, I took one final walk around Pattaya. Walking Street was still mostly closed due to COVID, empty bars, quiet streets. Girls standing outside, looking bored. Some recognized me, waved, smiled. I wondered how many were running the same con. At the airport, clearing immigration, the officer looked at my visa history. 3 years of continuous residence. "You not come back?" he asked. "No. Why? Why? I'm finished here." He stamped my passport, smiled politely, wished me safe travels. I flew to Vietnam. Da Nang. I'd researched frantically during the previous weeks. Vietnam had lower living costs than Thailand. Different culture, less developed expat exploitation infrastructure. A place where I could rebuild quietly without constantly being reminded of my failure. I rented a small studio apartment 2 blocks from the beach for $300 monthly, about 230 pounds. Cheap, simple, anonymous. The money situation was dire. I had 92,000 pounds in savings, down from 220,000 pounds. My NHS pension gave me 1,500 pounds monthly. In Vietnam, living costs were about 650 pounds monthly all in. I could save 850 pounds monthly if I lived carefully, but the math was devastating. I'd lost 128,000 pounds in 3 years. If I lived another 25 years to age 86, my remaining savings needed to last. At 850 pounds saved monthly, I'd rebuild slowly, but I'd never recover what I lost. I was 61. Most men my age were settled, comfortable, planning holidays and grandchildren. I was starting over in a new foreign country with less than half my retirement funds and profound trust issues. The first months in Vietnam were dark. I barely left the apartment. I'd order food delivery, watch Netflix, sleep irregular hours. Depression wasn't dramatic, it was gray, numb, empty. I didn't tell my family the full truth. My brother in Leeds asked why I left Thailand. I said I wanted a change of scenery. He asked about Suthida. I said we divorced amicably. He didn't push. I couldn't admit the truth, that I'd been completely fooled, that I'd voluntarily given 130,000 pounds to a woman who was living with another man, that I'd built a house for my wife's boyfriend. The shame was paralyzing. At night, I'd replay moments, conversations, decisions, looking for where I could have been smarter, where I should have walked away. The meeting at the bar, I should have never gone to Pattaya. The first money request, I should have said no. The marriage, I should have been more skeptical. The house, I should have absolutely refused. But hindsight is worthless. It doesn't return money. It doesn't erase humiliation. My view of Thailand shifted completely. Before, I saw it as paradise-friendly, affordable, beautiful. Now I saw it as a carefully constructed system for extracting money from foreign men. Not everyone, obviously, but enough that it's a functioning economy. What Thailand took from me: savings, 128,000 pounds, time, 3 years, emotional security, incalculable ability to trust, destroyed. What Thailand gave me: lessons I didn't want, humiliation, permanent skepticism. This story to tell. 6 months into Vietnam, I started engaging with life again. I joined an expat group, mostly retirees, teaching English, living quietly. I didn't talk about Thailand. When people asked about my past, I kept it vague. I met other men with similar stories. Not identical, but parallel. One British guy lost 80,000 pounds to a Filipina who disappeared once the house was built. An Australian lost his entire pension to a Vietnamese woman who vanished with his business investment. The details differed. The pattern was identical. Lonely Western men, younger local women, promises of love, gradual financial extraction, eventual abandonment. We were all the same, all intelligent enough to know better, all desperate enough to ignore red flags, all too proud to admit it until everything collapsed. The psychological damage lingers. I don't date. When local women smile at me in cafes or shops, I assume they want something. When anyone is kind, I question motivation. I've become suspicious, guarded, isolated. This isn't healthy. I know this. But trust, once destroyed, doesn't rebuild easily. I'm alive. I'm housed. I'm financially stable if I'm careful. But I'm not happy. I'm surviving. There's a difference. Looking back at my 3 years in Thailand, I see them now as a fever dream. It felt real at the time, the relationship, the future we were building, the family I thought I'd become part of. But it was theater, performance. I was the audience member who thought he was part of the show. I'll never get that money back. I'll never get those years back. I'll never fully trust again. But I'm out. That's what matters. I escaped before I lost everything. Some men don't. Some men keep giving until they're broke, homeless, stuck in Thailand with no way home. I've heard stories. Expats, living on tourist visas, working illegally, scraping by in studio rooms, too ashamed to return, home penniless. I got out with something remaining. That's the closest thing to victory I'll claim. November 2024, I'm 64 years old, still in Da Nang, Vietnam. I have 104,000 pounds in savings. I've slowly rebuilt over 4 years by living carefully. My monthly pension still comes in at 1,500 pounds. I spend about 700 pounds monthly. I save 800 pounds. At this rate, I'll die with money remaining. Small comfort. I live in the same studio apartment, 230 pounds monthly. It's clean, quiet, 5-minute walk to the beach. I swim most mornings. I read. I watch football streams online. I cook simple meals. I have no health problems beyond typical aging. I'm physically fine. Mentally, I'm functional. Not thriving, but functional. I don't have friends. I have acquaintances. People I nod to at the coffee shop. Expats I see at the grocery store. No one who knows my story. No one close enough to judge. I haven't been in a relationship since Sathida. I haven't even tried. The idea of trusting someone with my heart or my money makes my chest tight. Some days I'm okay. I'll have a good swim, read an interesting book, enjoy a nice meal, feel content enough. Other days the anger resurfaces, rage at Sathida, rage at myself, rage at the entire situation. Most days I'm just numb, going through routines, waiting for time to pass. If I could go back, I'd never go to Pattaya. I'd never walk into that bar. I'd stay in Hua Hin, live simply, keep my money, and be lonely but secure. But I can't go back. I can only go forward, whatever that means. The future? I don't think about it much. I'll stay here. I'll live quietly. I'll watch my savings slowly grow. I'll get old. I'll die eventually. That's the future. That's what Thailand left me. If you're reading this because you're considering Thailand, dating a Thai woman, or thinking about building a life in Southeast Asia, here are 7 things I learned the hard way. Lesson has shown. Never, never put property in her name. I thought I was special. I thought our marriage made the legal technicalities irrelevant. I was wrong. Foreigners cannot own land in Thailand. Full stop. You can own a condo unit, but not a house with land. Everything goes in the Thai spouse's name. This means you own nothing. Legally, it's hers. If the relationship ends, you leave with nothing. I spent 45,000 pounds building a house. When we divorced, it was hers. Legally, correctly, entirely hers. I had zero claim. Alternatives? Rent. Stay mobile. Never invest in property you can't legally own. If she insists on you buying a house, walk away immediately. That's the biggest red flag possible. This cost me £45,000 plus another £6,700 in maintenance, £51,700 for a house another man lives in. Lesson #2. If the age gap is 20 plus years, it's not love. I was 57. She was 24. 33 years difference. In what universe is that love? Be honest with yourself. Beautiful. 24-year-olds don't fall in love with 60-year-old men because of personality. They don't. Not genuinely. You're a provider, a solution to a financial problem, a means to an end. I convinced myself Suthita saw something special in me, my kindness, my stability, my life experience. But the truth? She saw my pension, my savings, my willingness to spend. Ask yourself these questions. Would she be with you if you were broke? Would she be with you if you were Thai in her age? Would she introduce you to her friends as her boyfriend proudly? Does she seem happy, or does she seem like she's enduring? Be brutally honest. If the answers make you uncomfortable, you know the truth. Lesson #3. The family emergencies never stop. Month 1. Mother needs medicine, £450. Month 2. Sister needs school fees, £230. Month 3. Brother's motorbike broke, £340. Month 4. Mother needs operation, £1,150. Month 5. House repair in village, £690. On and on, forever. Thai families are tight-knit. Children support parents. That's cultural and legitimate. But foreign boyfriends become family ATMs. Once you establish yourself as someone who gives money, the requests never stop. Here's the truth about emergencies. Some are real, most are exaggerated, many are invented, and even the real ones aren't your responsibility. You're not married to her entire family. You're not obligated to fund their lives. Setting boundaries doesn't make you cruel, it makes you sane. I sent approximately £60,000 to family over 3 years. Much of it went to Suthita and her Thai boyfriend. I was funding their life. Set clear boundaries early. Offer specific, limited help if you want. But once you open the tap, they'll never let you close it. Lesson #4. Don't invest in her business dreams. She wants to open a restaurant, a salon, a shop, a guest house. She promises you'll be partners. She promises profits. She promises it'll succeed if you just invest. Don't. Thai. Businesses run by bar girls with foreign boyfriend funding fail spectacularly. Why? She has no business experience. She has no capital discipline. She'll employ family members who won't work properly. The business becomes a social gathering place, not a profit center. And crucially, the money disappears. I invested £5,000 in a restaurant. It closed within months. I never saw a penny returned. The money vanished into expenses. If she's a legitimate businesswoman with real plans, she'll get a proper business loan. She'll have a real business plan. She'll have collateral. If she's asking you for money, it's not a business investment, it's a gift. Treat it as such. And if you can't afford to lose it entirely, don't give it. Lesson #5. Sinsot is a trap. Sinsot is the traditional Thai bride price, money or gold the groom gives the bride's family during the wedding ceremony. It's supposed to demonstrate that you can provide for their daughter. Thais will tell you it's tradition. It's about respect. It's just for show. You'll get most of it back. Here's reality. It's a wealth transfer. Rich Thai families might return it. Poor families never do. And foreign grooms pay inflated amounts. I paid £5,700. I never saw a bot returned. The amount is negotiable. But negotiating makes you look cheap. Refusing entirely makes you disrespectful. You're trapped. My advice? If you're determined to marry a Thai woman, Pay the absolute minimum you can negotiate. Expect to lose all of it. Budget accordingly. Better advice? Don't marry. Long-term girlfriend status gives you flexibility without legal entanglement. This cost me £5,700 for a ceremony that celebrated a relationship that was never real. Lesson #6. The red flags were there. I ignored them. Suthita keeping her bar job for months after we started dating. Need money for face. Her phone being password protected and hidden. Her frequent trips to Phuket without me. That moment when a Thai man approached us awkwardly at a restaurant. Her declining interest in physical intimacy. Her mood being directly tied to whether I'd sent money recently. Friends trying to warn me gently. Every single red flag was visible. I saw them, I acknowledged them internally, but I explained them away. She needs security. Thai culture is private. She has family obligations. I'm being paranoid. Our relationship is different. I ignored them because acknowledging them meant admitting the relationship was transactional. And admitting that meant walking away from the only relationship I had. Your gut knows. Always. You're ignoring it because the fantasy is appealing. The fantasy is easier than being alone. Listen to your gut. When something feels wrong, it usually is. Lesson #7. Thailand is not your friend. This isn't about individual Thai people. Many are kind, honest, hardworking. This is about the system. Property laws favor Thais deliberately. Business regulations restrict foreigners deliberately. Visa rules keep you dependent deliberately. Marriage laws give wives leverage deliberately. Courts side with locals over foreigners always. Thailand wants tourist money. It tolerates expats. But it's structured to ensure you can't truly own anything. Can't truly settle permanently. Can't defend yourself legally if things go wrong. You're a guest. A profitable guest, but a guest. And guests can be removed. If you want to live in Thailand, accept those terms. Rent, keep money offshore, stay mobile. Never assume you have legal protection. Lesson #8. Don't sacrifice your security for anyone. This is the biggest lesson, the one that encompasses everything. I gave up financial security for someone who didn't love me. I compromised my future for a relationship that was theater. If I hadn't, I'd have £220,000. I'd be comfortable. I'd be secure. Instead, I have £104,000, permanent trust issues, and a constant low-grade anxiety about money running out before I die. The math is simple. No romantic relationship is worth your financial security. None. If someone loves you genuinely, they won't ask you to risk your future for them. If someone is pressuring you to spend beyond your means, buy property you can't own, invest in businesses that make no sense, they don't love you, they're using you. These 7 lessons cost me £128,000 and 3 years of my life. I'm giving them to you for free. Maybe someone will listen. If you're reading this, you're probably in one of 3 situations. You're considering moving to Thailand or Southeast Asia for retirement or adventure. You're currently in a relationship with a Thai or Southeast Asian woman and things are moving fast. Or you're already invested financially and emotionally, but something feels wrong. Don't do what I did. Don't ignore red flags. Don't convince yourself your situation is different. Don't sacrifice your financial security for someone who doesn't genuinely love you. You'll end up broke, alone, humiliated, and starting over in your 60s while watching your retirement savings disappear. If you're considering Thailand, visit Don't Move Permanently until you truly understand the culture. Keep your money in your home country. Transfer only what you need monthly. Rent, never buy property. Set a strict monthly budget and stick to it. Assume bar girls are working multiple angles. They usually are. Get a prenuptial agreement if marrying, though it won't protect property. DNA test any children immediately. Don't wait. Trust your instincts. If something feels transactional, it is. If you're already in a situation seeing red flags, don't throw good money after bad. What's lost is lost. Sunk cost is already gone. Don't lose more trying to salvage it. Get out before it's too late. Every month you stay costs more. Your pride isn't worth your future. Admit the mistake and leave. There's no shame in being scammed. There's only shame in staying after you know. I'm 64 years old. I live in a studio apartment in Vietnam on £700 monthly. I have £104,000 remaining from an original £220,000. I'll never fully trust another person romantically. I spend most days alone. This is what 3 years in Thailand cost me. You still have time. You still have your money. You still have a choice. Make the right one. Learn from my story. Don't become another one. Thailand is beautiful. The culture is rich. The people can be warm and kind, but it can also be beautifully cruel. Protect yourself. Stay smart. Keep your money safe. Because once it's gone, once your savings are drained and you're 60-something and starting over, there's no reset button. I learned that the hardest way possible. Don't make my mistake.